All right, we're going to talk about alcohol in chapter 12. We're going to start with our first two vocab words, depressants and reaction time. This would be a good time for you to press pause and go ahead and copy these definitions down. So let's talk about number one, depressants. Depressants are drugs that slow down the body's functions and reactions. Depressants are the opposite of what? We talked about this in our tobacco unit. Tobacco has nicotine in it, which is a stimulant. Stimulants and depressants are opposites. Caffeine is also a stimulant, something that makes you feel a little bit more alert, awake, almost gives you a little bit of extra energy. Depressants are going to be the opposite. They slow the body down and cause you to feel sleepy, tired, drowsy, those type of things. You take enough of a depressant, it actually can make you fall asleep and can basically shut your body down enough where you go into a coma and some people die. With alcohol poisoning, that can happen, and we'll talk about that throughout this unit. Number two is reaction time. It's the ability of the body to respond quickly and appropriately to situations. When we got out the beer goggles and we did the activities with the tennis balls, we're testing your body's reaction time. We're testing whether or not you can respond appropriately when something is coming at you. Now, a tennis ball is no big deal, and we should be able to catch it, dodge it, not have it hit us without us knowing unless we're caught off guard. So you can imagine if somebody's under the influence of alcohol, something's coming at them, it might hit them in the forehead before they realize that it's coming. And you can imagine driving a car and having that go on. Maybe you won't see oncoming traffic, somebody in the middle of the road, a deer, a child, whatever, and you won't react quickly enough before there's a problem. All right, so let's get into our first discussion. We're going to talk about what alcohol is and why it's harmful. In chapter 12, we're going to talk about, the alcoholism. We're going to talk about short and long-term effects. We're going to talk about drinking and driving. There's a lot that goes into this. So first of all, what is alcohol? Alcohol is a drug that is produced by a chemical reaction in fruits, vegetables, and grains. We call this fermentation. Basically, we take something with some sort of natural sugar content, and even though some grains may not seem sweet like let's say a strawberry or an apple or some sort of fruit would be, or grapes that could be used to make wine, a lot of these things do have natural sugar, and the yeast that is put into this reacts, causes, it's a whole chemical reaction where alcohol is produced, and so is carbon dioxide, where a lot of times we get the fizziness. And of course, we're talking about beer, wine, and liquor. And anytime you hear me say liquor, we're typically talking about vodka, bourbon, whiskey, rum. There's a lot of different hard liquors that are out there that have varying degrees and levels of alcohol in them, have different flavors, and so on. Alcohol is going to change your behavior. When somebody drinks, they're going to make poor decisions. It's the same reason why we have people that drink and drive when they've already passed a test when they were 16 years old, where they knew the answer on a quiz or a test was, are you allowed to drink and drive? The answer is absolutely no. Everybody knows that. Even you at 14 years old understand that, yet people still make poor decisions because their brain has been affected under the influence of alcohol. Alcohol affects the brain and the central nervous system, causing those changes in behavior. People don't think straight. And it is a depressant, again, one of our vocab words, which is a drug that slows down the body's functions and reactions. Small amounts can affect how a person feels and behaves. When do most people drink alcohol? I don't know about you, it's not early in the morning. I think you probably see most of your family, if anybody you know, drinks later at night. What's already happening with their body? They're getting tired. They're getting sleepy. It's that time of night. So now we dump the depressant into the system, and it can really cause somebody to get really tired really fast. And oftentimes, where problems happen with like alcohol poisoning is we put too much in and your body shuts down. Some people become relaxed and friendly. Others become depressed and angry. My buddy who's a police officer in Elk River tells a story where he went to time out the restaurant and bar in Elk River, and there was a guy who was really, really aggressive and really, really obnoxious and causing a scene. And my buddy was just kind of the helping officer. He wasn't the one in charge. He said if he would have been, he would have taken this guy in and basically given him a ticket for disorderly conduct. And it turned out this is a guy we went to high school with, somebody that we knew and is relatively a pretty good person. but was under the influence of alcohol, was drunk, and certainly being loud and obnoxious. When it comes to alcohol, there's a lot of different things that happen. You can go on the internet and see all kinds of pictures. On the top left, we obviously see people who will throw up and have some sick reactions. We certainly don't want people to be drinking while they're pregnant. We'll talk about that, just like we did when we talked about tobacco, depression, people who drink alone. Various types of alcohol can lead to road and traffic accidents, and certainly you'll see pictures like this of drinking and driving accidents where we can pretty much guess that there wasn't a survivor. Let's talk about teenagers and alcohol. A teen's body and mind are still growing and developing. If you remember, and during the tobacco unit, I talked about tomato plants. If your family or you are growing tomato plants, in the end, we want a plant that grows big tomatoes, juicy, ripe tomatoes, and lots of them. That would be the ultimate goal, right? Or any type of plant where there's a fruit or vegetable that is produced. And you as teenagers, we want you to grow up and be as big and strong as you possibly can be. So why would we tinker with that? Why would we throw tobacco or alcohol into the equation that's just going to slow someone down? Research has shown that alcohol use can interfere with long-term and short-term growth, both physical and mental. So obviously maybe this is going to affect somebody from being as big and strong as they can be physically, but it also is going to affect your brain and your ability to function in school, make good decisions, have good relationships, and things like that. And we're really talking about your whole health triangle, physical, mental, and social health being affected by the choices you make at this age. Alcohol also increases the risk of social problems, depression, suicidal thoughts, and violence. A lot of people use alcohol as a way out of their problems or a way of trying to feel better when truthfully it doesn't make you feel better at all. It causes you to do things that can lead to other problems. Maybe you steal money. Maybe you're violent and upset against other people. Maybe you lose relationships. Maybe you break up with a boyfriend, girlfriend, and that can lead to depression, certainly can lead to suicide. Again, with teenagers, if we look around the horn here, starting on the left-hand column in the top, there it is, interfering with the long and short-term growth. Also going down, alcohol harms the brain and ability to learn, causing teens to fall behind in school. Certainly we're going to see a decrease in school performance, the ability to do well in classes. Alcohol increases the risk of social problems. We've talked about that. Over here on the right, we have alcohol increases the risk of depression, suicide, and thoughts of violence. People are more willing to hurt one another. You ever heard the term liquid courage? Alcohol is often at times used when people are upset at others and they all of a sudden now aren't thinking straight and they're willing to go hurt somebody or do something that normally when they're sober they wouldn't. Teens who drink risk getting in trouble with the law. We have underage consumption tickets, obviously drinking and driving, all kinds of things like that, and also the potential of hurting other people. 1/3 of all teen traffic deaths are related to alcohol. Either A, themselves are using, or they just caught in an act where someone else was using alcohol and ended up hurting them. Let's talk about some reasons not to drink. Just say no is a popular phrase. In the 1980s, Nancy Reagan, President Ronald Reagan's wife, coined the phrase "just say no" as a campaign against tobacco, alcohol, and drug use by teenagers and young adults. It's just a simple phrase that we should be using a lot more. Choosing not to drink is always a healthy choice. Obviously, we know that the body is, people are going to abuse alcohol, and teenagers are a very easy case of that. And it's when teenagers get together, they don't just have a beer or two if they are choosing to use alcohol. Chances are they're drinking as much as they can in a short amount of time to get drunk because they're at a party, they're at a get-together. Mom and dad are going to be home in a couple hours, whatever, and they're really making poor decisions and they're drinking too much. Some drink to fit in with others. It's a popular reason, but most teens don't drink. The statistics prove to us that it's really a low number of teenagers that drink. Even if it does seem like everybody's doing it, it's really in the minority. But that peer pressure is strong. Some people will certainly start because of friends or a certain group of people are having parties, and in order to fit in, you're going to show up to those parties and do what everyone else is doing. If you choose not to drink, you'll already be fitting in with most of your peers. That's the cool part, is the majority of teenagers don't drink, and really that's the group of people we should be trying to emulate or model ourselves after. Some other important reasons not to drink, other than, we're going to talk about long-term and short-term health problems, but here's some other ones. You're risking your health when you drink, and we'll cover what those are, short-term and long-term. We'll definitely talk about the problems with the stages of alcoholism when we get to lesson 4. But we're also talking about alcohol being against the law for teenagers. There's an underage consumption ticket that teenagers can get where you have to pay, sometimes a couple $100s in fines. You get in trouble. Mom and dad aren't going to be happy. It's kind of a long list of things that happen as a result of drinking underage. You should want to make decisions that'll help you become a strong person. You should want to be healthy, things that are going to make your body strong, and certainly alcohol use is really against all those ideas and thoughts. Teens who stay alcohol-free are better able to handle the challenges of everyday life. They're more likely to make good decisions, be resilient, and overcome the stressful, frustrating, or negative things that happen. Because life isn't perfect, but we shouldn't turn to a chemical like alcohol or drugs to make us feel better when things aren't going well. We should be able to say, okay, what am I going to do better next time? How am I going to overcome this? What am I going to do to get a better grade? What am I going to do when, boyfriend, girlfriend dumps me? How am I going to become a stronger person and not have to use a chemical to make you feel better? And, if we can't use words and phrases to deter someone from using alcohol, let's use some pictures. You take a look at this one. Right in the middle of the day in a busy intersection, you imagine somebody being hit right there in a car, there's a good chance you're not going to survive because that's right there on the driver's side. Scary situations, and I'll definitely share a couple stories with you in class in the next couple days or week or so of people that I've known. I bet I know 5 or 6 people that either been in a drunk driving accident, been killed, or have gone to prison because of it, and generally pretty good people. Alcohol is one of the biggest factors in teen traffic deaths. You think about it, if teens go to a party, have some beers, may have to get back for curfew or try and get back home late at night and get in bed before mom and dad know they were out drinking. And so what are they going to do? They're going to say, well, I have a car. Yeah, I'm a little bit drunk. Oh, I can make it. I can get home. They get behind the wheel and make bad decisions. Is it worth it? Is it worth getting arrested? Is it worth hurting somebody else? And I'm going to show you a video in a few days, actually a couple different videos where, somebody who lived in a crash ended up hurting other people because of their decision and, is paying for their crime. And I don't know about you. I don't really want to spend any time, let alone the rest of my life, in prison. So let's talk about some alternatives to alcohol. What are alternatives? There are other ways of thinking or acting. What would you rather be doing than going to a party and drinking? Or, drinking with your friends? A lot of you have hobbies and things that you're interested in, whether they are church, sports, music, video games, books. There's all kinds of great, cool things out there that you as teenagers are doing that even adults, the things I just listed, sports, music, church, books. I do those things. I'm interested in that kind of stuff as well. So those are things that really can be lifelong activities that we get excited about. So you need to be able to think, what are some of your alternatives for drinking alcohol? And again, sports, music, church, popular ones. Other ones are learning new skills. Maybe you pick up fishing. Maybe you pick up a new sport. Discover a new talent. Maybe you become kind of interested in woodworking with mom, dad, uncle, grandpa, whoever. Challenging your body. Some people, start training for a marathon or start running more because that's their new addiction is doing something healthy and positive. Or being a part of a team. They're all good alternatives. They're good things that people can do. And again, a lot of you are doing these things. Pictures sometimes tell more than words. Be active in something. Get passionate about something that doesn't lead you down a path where you're going to choose a decision like drugs, alcohol, tobacco, things that are going to hurt your body, get you in trouble, and also cost you money. I'd rather spend money on a video game or a movie or a book, something that I'm going to have for the rest of my life and can use whenever I want. So on your packet, I believe I gave you some room. Go ahead and think of 3 great alternatives that you have to drinking alcohol and go ahead and list them down. I just gave you a whole bunch of mine. You should be able to come up with something. Something that maybe it's stuff you're going to do when you get home after school. Think of that type of stuff, the stuff you get excited for. Also, when you are done with this lesson, make sure that you spend some time and write a good summary for this lesson. And then you can open up your homework packet and work on Chapter 12, Lesson 1 in your homework packet. You should be able to finish that based on these notes.